5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. So I'm in Boston tomorrow night at the End of the World Tavern. The tavern at the End of the World. It's a little different. And hope to see you there. We're going to be talking AI. We're going to be talking direct marketing, even maybe mail and print, because Clark from LSC is coming, and we're going to try and get him to buy us a beer. So that's at 6 o'clock at the Tavern at the End of the World, somewhere not too far from Bunker Hill, I understand. But you can look it up on the WDMA on WDMA.org, not the who puts the on the front of a website, a URL. Anyway, let's dig in and off we go. Let's see. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about being offended. So here's Montez Sweat, and he's offended.
Montez Sweat, and it's time for me to set the record straight. Old Spice, Sweat, is just my last name. It's just a word. I don't represent Sweat and won't be a party to this at any time.
That's not what we heard.
I represent Sweat, and it's party time.
I represent Sweat, and it's party time. Party time.
Sweat, party time. Sweat, sweat, party time. Sweat.
So anyway, it shows you what they can do with a rational statement, make it into total nonsense. But this is, all part of the fun of Procter & Gamble with the brand Old Spice, poking fun at all this offended junk. And, of course, they're paying Montez to do it. And there's a whole string of them that are airing during the NFL about how Old Spice will not stand for sweat in the NFL. It's really great. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, I don't even know, cover your eyes if you don't like seeing young women. So here's another ad by Misguided, MISS Guided, a clothing maker, and these young women look like they're having a lot of fun, and the bikini is very inexpensive, and these are models getting highly paid during the Island show. Okay, so from 8 pounds, a whole wardrobe. Anyway, so that got banned by the Advertising Standards Authority, right, ASA, for objectifying women during a video on demand. Well, what I want to know, and I'm serious, I want to know how come Old Spice can put big, strong men in tight little suits with enhanced shoulders, which aren't even real. Do you realize that when you see those players, those like in the old suits we used to buy, big, fake shoulders, I think that's objectifying men. Anyway. But we can do that all day long. Sure, pick on men. Sure, pick on men. But women, who would ever want that? Oh, jeez. Okay, so it probably, I've never heard of Misguided before. So the fact that they got banned is probably good for their brand. It probably is exactly what they're looking for. And there's that breast cancer, a nonprofit that gets banned all the time, and they just love it. So, you got to have a little fun. I think we need a little more fun. And on that note, the new privacy law is hitting California, and according to Ad Age, it requires an opt-out button on every page of every website, allowing consumers to easily tell companies they don't want their data to be collected or sold. Many people also can opt out from a company's terms of service and still be able to use their software. I think that's hilarious. So if I say, no, I don't agree with these terms and conditions, I can re-engineer the software and steal it? Hey, that's a great law. Oh, these legislators. Okay, and here's some more background. And, the concept is that the California CCPA gives consumers the right to learn what personal information has been collected by them. The tricky part is we start with their address, and then we figure out from the census data, which is public, and downloadable, what kind of neighborhood they live in, and So what are we going to send them? What are we going to tell them? Are we going to tell them the ratio of mobile homes as housing units, or the ratio of pet stores to retail stores? I know that stuff. I do. I mean, I kind of do. I kind of have a score. I don't look at the percentage every day. But anyway, and what happens? You say, do not sell my personal information. Here's the really disturbing part, because everybody has a right to be offended these days. What happens when your ad appears on their Facebook page, not targeted to them at all anymore, because you don't know how to target anymore because they've taken away all your data. So unknown to you, they see your ad, and they have worked hard at getting rid of your ad. For what reason, I don't know. We all have built-in peripheral ignore features in our eyes these days. And now you get sued. And how do you prove you didn't target? How do you prove you didn't target them? Yeah, sure, you can put up a Facebook spec, but that doesn't prove you didn't. There's lots of secrets going on. So, you made your bed, now lie in it, as far as I'm concerned, with digital one-to-one advertising, which isn't that cost-effective or effective anyway. And we'll get to that in a second. Plus, now you've got a do not track on browsers, but it doesn't match California's law. And how do we know it's you opting out? Maybe it's your worst enemy that's decided to opt you out of everything. So we got to keep a database of opted out fraud to cover the opted out option. Never mind. Anyway, great article. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to marketing to millennials with print. And by print, most of us mean either FSIs or direct mail or something like that. You got to get it there. So I know it says print, but Heather, one of the great articles I've ever read, and I told her that, and I told her we're going to be covering it today. So give Heather some hearts. That would be great. Okay, so print is an engagement gold mine. Okay? Brands are rediscovering, and most of them are just discovering, because everybody that's my age is gone. Every ad agency fires older people. It's common knowledge in the industry. You got to go out on your own and be a freelancer. So what's surprising is how thirsty millennials are for print marketing. Okay? And the Supreme Court has already ruled that the distance from your mailbox to the trash can is sufficiently short as to not constitute an invasion of privacy. We have Supreme Court precedent that I'm not invading your privacy because, oh, by the way, I hardly know how to target you at all, and a print run is not something you want to mess with to personalize every single piece if you can help it. We've tested lots of personalization. Most of the time it's not cost effective. Millennials lead other generations in reading and preferring print. This is the golden age of mail. Okay, why? Well, for one thing, the channel is more memorable. I love this article because it hits a bunch of the hot buttons. Marketers can translate that communication into cross-channel action. I'm putting QR codes on my mailing pieces. I showed you one the other day. And you can convert them from print into digital and vice versa. Customers stay with brands. This is really important. Customers stay with brands who market memorably to them over the long haul. And with millennials, their customer lifespan is long indeed. We've conducted several very careful studies. And the truth is that customers acquired with print have something like 3 or 4 times the persistence, the downstream value. I'm not going to call it lifetime value because we don't know about lifetime, but we do know about the next 6 months. So if we look at everybody that was acquired in 2018, and now we look at how valuable they were last 6 months, how many came back, how many didn't as a class, How valuable is the 2018? And we split it by digital acquisition and by mail acquisition. Mail kills it. Mail more than pays for the differential, which isn't as great as people think when you take into account the bounce rate and all the other baloney and the fraud in digital. And print builds trust. What do I mean? Well, you know what? Anybody can run an ad. I mean, yesterday we were talking about the fake political ads, which are admittedly fake. And they still got run, and people still believe them. And it's a whole category of disaster in digital, is that because you can build an ad and run it with such ease and low expense, nobody believes it. But print, it takes something, and you're not just doing one letter. Don't fall for that you have to make it look like it's one handwritten letter. You know, anybody who gets a piece of mail knows that it takes more than a little bit to put something like this together. You know, here's Wayfair. Here's Wayfair. Good old Wayfair, 10% off. You know, you don't just, this is a nice postcard. It almost feels like it's two pieces. Hey, it is. It's a fold-out postcard glued together. Wow. You don't just put that thing in the mail. It takes care and concern, and it costs something, which means you don't just send it to me for nothing. You think I'm valuable. It demonstrates the value of your message and the value of your company and the value of your recipient to send them something nice in the mail. Okay. So experimental psychology says that it triggers spatial memory. Okay? I just had engagement. I really hadn't opened this yet. I got the gooey glue on my fingers. See, there's a little bit of glue there coming off. I don't know if you can see that, but it is. And I got the gummy feel, and that works great for as an eraser. So I have an added value on this piece. And, you know, just beautiful stuff, and I can feel it. It has a smell to it. Wayfair, wow. Anyway, so there's a real experience that's internalized. Okay? Who hasn't sniffed a Yankee catalog? You know, Yankee Candle catalog. You can smell it. You can add smell. You can put perfume on your mailing piece if you want to. Don't try to get the right fragrance. Don't try to guess the fragrance that somebody will like. Put a nice fragrance on it. Tactile becomes internalized and personal. Okay? 23% of millennials bought or ordered something as a result of receiving direct mail in the last 12 months. That's huge. Okay. Millennials prefer print. 92% of college students say, if it were up to me, I'd rather read it in a book than on digital. Woo! Have you ever seen this before? This is why it's such a great article by Heather. Maybe it's because we are sick of spending the majority of the day staring at a backlit screen. Maybe because there's something luxurious about being able to stare at a page for as long as you want without the device going into sleep mode or the battery dying. Right, I always bring a book when I fly because who cares? I don't need to surf. Catalogs are resurging. Okay? And as the catalog guy in the late 90s, when the internet bulldozed me into the ground, if you want to know how to get into this, call an old guy who was doing it at the top of the game, back when we thought it was the golden age. But this is the golden age. Here's a big one, attribution. You don't think about this, but with digital, you don't know if I'm paying attention to the screen. You can run your ad all day long, and I may not care, right? But with mail, you can mail to the house, and you can ship to the house. So we know who bought, we know who got mailed, and if you want to see the impact of your mail, pull some out randomly. It's not as easy as it sounds, but carefully pull out 10%, 20%. Couple of thousand names, and see if they do as well downstream as the ones you mailed. And you'll find 300, 500, 900% return on investment. Seen it all in the last few years I'm talking about. Okay? So consumers don't always follow marketers' rules that would reveal touch points. I defy you to lay out your customer journey on the last things you bought. You know, you can't even repeat to me your customer journey and which ads you saw and where and how they influenced your purchase. You can't. And if you can't do it for you, you're not going to get the consumers to do it. That's a real big deal. Okay? 70%, 76% of Land's End's online customers, Land's End back in the day, they were cost cutting. Everybody, I fought this for decades, literally decades. When some accounting guy comes in and says, well, we could do all of the same stuff on the web and it's a lot cheaper. Those are the companies that are gone. Land's End cut their catalog circ 19%, and sales went down 20%, which means they had bad modeling. Okay? Customers like catalogs. Again, now, here's one thing. I mentioned to Heather I was going to add one more thing to her article. Here's one thing that nobody's talking about. I've been doing machine learning AI for 25 years. Our first stuff was in 1994. And it works. It works like crazy. You know, and I got a book about it. I think I keep my book around here. I highly recommend for, $6 on Kindle, or you can get the paperback edition. Okay, Spinning Straw of Gold by John Miglosh. Go get it. But if you don't believe me, I've been doing it a long time. And it works. And I in the last year or two, I've been trying to say to myself, why do 85% of AI projects fail while ours work? Why? What's the difference? You know what the difference is? Mail inherently gives you a labeled data set. You know, on CAPTCHA, when they make you say, where's the crosswalk? That was the last one I did. Where are the cars? That was the one before that, right? Where are the street lights? That was before that. Where are the stoplights? That was before that. Where are the stop signs? That was before that. You know what I'm talking about. What are they doing? They're making labeled data sets. They're trying to build human-identified objects to teach computers to see, okay? And they're spending billions of dollars on it. And you're helping them, okay? But you don't help anybody with their marketing. You're not very cooperative. You don't know your customer journey. You don't know which ads you saw. And anybody who thinks last click attribution is the answer doesn't have a clue. Holdout is the best answer. But when you hold out one or two ads, you're not going to see anything. Unless you can trigger a response, and I mean a sale, you're not going to know much. And it's always been a problem in general advertising. Okay? But in direct mail, we know who we mailed and we know who responded. Now, we can't claim all of that. We can't say all of that belongs to us. You've got a cloud of your omni-channel marketing. And it has effect. I'm not saying it doesn't. But what I am saying is we can precisely build a labeled data set. We can make AI work if you're willing to use mail at least as a research platform, at least as a foundation for your AI. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. It's the golden age of mail. The millennials want it. Everybody buys remote these days. It's the golden age. Find an old guy, because as Grant Johnson said to me the other day, there aren't many of us left who really know how to do mail. And we're going away fast. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart.